In this video, we are going to talk about section 9.2, which is area. So we are going to find the area of rectangles, squares, parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. And I have shown all of these different figures to you right here. So here's our square, and the area of a square is just by taking one side times the other side. Since it's the same, we'll call them S, side times side. That's how we find the area. A rectangle is not all that different from a square. It's actually, a square is a particular type of rectangle, and we just take the length times the width, but really these are still the sides. They're just different measures, so side times side. Okay. In a parallelogram, you have to be a little bit more discerning. Although the formula is very similar, we have a base and we have a height. Now notice the height here is the perpendicular distance between the base and this base, which these two would be the same length, not the slant distance here. Okay, so it is the base times the height. Then when we look at a triangle, the area for a triangle is similar to the parallelogram, where we take the base times the height, but we have to divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2, same thing, because half of a triangle is what actually, if we had 2 of them together, we could get the parallelogram from that. And then the trapezoid is a little bit trickier because we have 2 bases, essentially. Usually one is longer than the other. So we'll call one of them B and one of them A. We're actually going to add those together. We're going to multiply by the height, and then we're going to multiply by 1/2. So really what we're doing here is we find an average where we add A and B and then multiply by 1/2. That's finding an average between those two, and then multiply that by the height. The formula for the trapezoid will be on that formula sheet that you'll be allowed to use for the final exam, but these other 4 won't, so make sure you remember those. And then, of course, remember that when you're dealing with area, you have to always have square units. Okay, and I'll show you that as we work here. So let's look at this square. It's 14 centimeters on each side, so the area is going to be 14 times 14, which, of course, when I multiply that together, I'm going to get 196, and then my units is going to be centimeters squared, or you can put 196 square, we abbreviate square like this, square centimeters. Now, this is not because it's a square, but that's how we write units of area. Because we multiplied centimeters times centimeters, that's centimeters squared, or square centimeters. Either one is an appropriate, acceptable answer. Okay, now let's take a look at this triangle. So the area is going to be equal to 1/2 times our base, which is 5.4, times the height, which is 2.5. Okay, so go ahead and multiply that out, and you get the area of this triangle is 6.75. What are those units? Well, now the units for this one are inches squared. That's a little squared superscript there. Not 2. It doesn't mean times 2. Okay? Let's take a look at a few more. What if I were dealing with this rectangle? Okay, so again, the area of the rectangle, remember, is length times width, so I'm going to multiply 8 and 1/2 times 1 and 3/4. Now, you could, of course, multiply that using your calculator if you feel pretty confident converting those to fractions. Oops, trying to fix that there. That should be a 4. But if you're not, we can multiply them as fractions, okay? So this is still, remember, 17/2 times 7/4. And then I can multiply across the top and across the bottom. And I'm going to get 119 divided by 8, which is going to give me 14 and, let's see, 7/8. Is that right? I believe so. Let me just double check. 14 7/8. And what are our units? These are inches, so it's inches squared. Don't forget those. Those are really important. Okay, here we have our parallelogram. So our area is just the base, which is 9.3, times our height, which is 4. And that gives us 37.2. And our units for area will be feet squared. And now we have this trapezoid. Remember, the formula for it is a little bit different. We take 1/2 times our height. Our height in this case is 6.2. And then we're going to multiply that times the sum of our two bases, 8.5 plus 3.8. Okay? Order of operations says we have to do that first. So I really have 1/2 times 6.2 times 12.3. And now we can actually multiply it all out, and that will give me a total of 38.13, and my units here are centimeters squared. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this last problem. It says the Thompson family is buying new carpet for their living room. If the rectangular room measures 12 feet 6 inches by 18 feet 3 inches, and the cost of the carpet is $3.85 per square foot, how much will it cost them for the new carpet? Well, let's first draw a little picture. Okay, so let's pretend this is their room. And on this side it's 12 foot 6 inches. And on this side I have 18 feet 3 inches. Now remember, I said on a previous page is that if we are dealing with two different kinds of units, we have to convert them so they're all the same. Well, I know that 12 foot 6 inches is the same as 12.5 feet. So I could replace 12 foot 6 inches with 12.5 feet. Okay? And I know that 18 feet 3 inches, well, if it takes a total of 12 inches to get a foot, and I have 3 inches, that's actually 1/4 of what I need for a whole foot. So I could replace 18 feet 3 inches with 18.25 or 18.25 feet. Okay? This is super important. Now I have just feet, and I'm good to go, and I can go ahead and figure out the area. And it's important to do it in feet because this is per square foot. So I need it all in feet. So I'm going to take my 18.25, and I'm going to multiply by 12.5. Okay? And you can go ahead and multiply that out. And I get 228.125. Okay? And this is our square feet. I don't want you to round just yet because this is an exact decimal, 0.125. You could of course put 1/8, but I'm okay with 0.125 for now. Now to figure out the cost, I have to take my square footage, which is 228.125, and multiply by the price per square foot, which is $3.85. And that's going to give me a total cost $878.28125. That might go on farther, but I don't think so. We're dealing with money here, so the cost is, I have to multiply or round that to 2 decimal places. I get $878.28. Okay, 2 decimal places. All right, that's how we work with area, and we'll see you in the next video.